Good evening. I'm spot on meteorologist Matthew Euler with the long range forecast. So let's get right into it and take a look at what's going to happen over the next week to 10 days. All right, so we're going to start off with Monday, the 2nd of January. And what we have for Southeast Virginia is a lot of rain. Some rain starts moving into the area on Monday, the 2nd of January. We have a long wave trough off the west coast of the United States with a more southwest to northeast wind flow across Southeast Virginia. So we expect milder temperatures to begin on Monday the 2nd. You can see these white lines represent lines of equal height, and those height lines are going upward, northward in the northern hemisphere. That indicates a ridge and a warming, raising heights. So we do expect milder temperatures. Most of the cold air remains back with the snow over Wyoming and Montana and into South Dakota area. Moving on to Tuesday the 3rd, we have an area of low pressure, 1,005 millibar low over Indiana, with a big shield of rain, again in our area here in Southeast Virginia. Very mild temperatures as the winds blow counterclockwise around this low pressure system. We expect southerly wind flow into Southeast Virginia at that time. South-southwest winds. The coldest air remain back over the northern plains and into the Rocky Mountain states at this time. There's lower thickness values there indicating much colder air. Arctic air is sitting back centered over Montana. But we will have more rain shower activity moving into the area. Strong south-southwest winds. You can see the orientation of the jet. We got a big ridge into Alaska and western Canada, and a buckling or a trough of the jet stream into Southern California. And then we have a major area of higher wind speeds within the jet core, this jet maximum, which goes from Southern California across to Oklahoma and North Texas. A ridge and a higher heights again over Southeast Virginia. So we expect very mild temperatures upcoming from Monday the 2nd all the way through Wednesday the 4th of January. And on the 4th of January, we see that the rain, the storm system that was over Ohio has now moved off to the northeast. The rain has also moved offshore, so we're looking for a drier day on Wednesday the 4th in Southeast Virginia. The Arctic air is starting to creep a little further southeast. The leading edge of the Arctic air on Wednesday will be from New York State, Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Missouri, down into just south of Oklahoma City. The jet stream configuration, there's a big ridge here off the Pacific Northwest and off the west coast of Canada. The orientation of the jet stream is now becoming more north-south, down from western Canada into the western United States, and then more zonal. Conditions are becoming more zonal, or the jet stream is flattening out, more west to east flow on Wednesday at this time. So drier conditions on Wednesday, still fairly mild, and then on Thursday, the Arctic front will be very close. It'll actually be right to our northwest, represented by this 540 line here. Anything north of this 540 decameter line is much colder conditions. So at this time, we're still mild to start the day, but the cold front will move through the area by evening on Thursday. That will start dropping our temperatures. We do expect the cold front to move through. Temperatures will fall into the 40s. And then we have a jet stream oriented more east, or actually more southwest to northeast across Ohio River Valley into just off of the coast of New England. So again, the cold air, here's the trough, the mean trough axis right in here. So the coldest air is going to ooze further south into the base of this long wave trough. But again, notice there's no rain. It is dry. We're not expecting any precip in association with the cold frontal passage. Now moving on to Friday, the 6th of January, things start getting a little more interesting as with this jet stream, more of a southwest to northeast orientation, that is going to cause the Arctic front, that very strong cold front, to slow down and stall just to our south. And what's going to happen is we're going to have a couple waves of low pressure that are going to try to develop along this frontal system. And if you notice, the front is oriented like this, southwest to northeast, stalling out a little bit. And that is in line with this jet axis blowing more parallel to the front itself. And so there's really no push in the upper levels to push this thing through. So this is where the forecast gets trickier by Friday and Saturday of next weekend. There is a little bit of snow just to the northwest of Virginia Beach and mainly up towards just north of Newport News and up towards Williamsburg. And there is rain closer to the coast around Virginia Beach, down in North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, all the way down to Louisiana. But you can see the extent of the snow and ice all the way down into the deep south. So this is the potential for a winter storm in the southeast Virginia area. And then there is a jet stream oriented mostly southwest and northeast still. Now, if this orientation were to change, as I mentioned in previous videos, more northwest to southeast, we would get much colder air into southeast Virginia. So really, the precipitation type, the specifics, we do still see a couple waves of low pressure that are on the table to possibly produce our first winter storm in southeast Virginia at some point, again, between the 6th, Friday the 6th, this upcoming Friday, as well as all the way out to around the 12th of January. Something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. If we move on to Saturday, 7 January, look at what's going on here. We have a 1032 millibar high over the Midwest. The clockwise flow is bringing cooler air down from the northwest, basically bringing cooler air down from the northwest, the clockwise flow, and we do have some snow in the mid-Atlantic region and a mixture of rain and snow and possibly freezing rain over interior sections of South Virginia, close to southeast Virginia, into northern, northeast North Carolina, northwest North Carolina, and just rain from the Gulf Coast basically over South Carolina. So again, we're going to have to keep a close eye on this situation. That's Saturday the 7th. The jet stream axis again is mostly southwest to northeast. With that orientation, that's not really going to let the full core of the Arctic air to spill southeastward towards us. And so that is where the trickiness is going to come in with thickness values and temperatures, not only at the surface, but at 5,000 feet above the surface, as to what type of precip we can expect to get. But we are giving you a heads up now here at Spot On Weather that we could easily have a storm system, a winter storm system on our hands sometime between the 6th of January and the 12th of January. Now the 8th of January, you'll notice an area of low pressure. It's fairly weak, is formed off the mid-Atlantic coast. There is still a little lingering rain, snow, or ice, freezing rain type mixture just to the west of the Hampton Road cities. It looks like rain for Hampton Road cities at this time. Cooler air is starting to filter from the northwest to southeast, slowly oozing in on the backside of this low, which is going to drag colder air down, counterclockwise flow, more northwesterly wind. The question is the precipitation timing and when the cold air gets in here, and will enough cold air get into southeast Virginia to even have winter precip? If we don't get enough cold air into southeast Virginia in conjunction with the precip, then we may just be in for a cold rain across our area. So there's a lot of interesting factors that we're going to have to keep a close eye on in the extended long-range outlook. And your core of your coldest air remains up over Canada. I'm going to show you that in a minute. The main jet axis, this is an amazing trough. It's wavelength pretty much from the west to the east coast. We do have more southwest and northeast orientation of these winds again at the jet stream level, which will not allow the coldest air really to punch through and make it all the way down into our area. The core of the Arctic air will still remain north of our area. But again, any change in the amplification of this jet stream, orientation of this jet stream, that could mean everything as far as what type of storm we get, whether it be wintry precip or rain, and what kind of temperatures we have in southeast Virginia. I just wanted to show you at 5,000 feet again, we have extensive cold. Look at the 7th and the 8th of January. This is next Saturday and Sunday. The oranges and the yellows and these darker reds indicate very, very cold temperatures. We're looking at negative 28 on the scale down here, negative 28 to negative 36 degrees Celsius temperatures. So what appears has happened is Siberia had extremely cold temperatures in October and November, and that has translated and pushed over to the North American continent. We are the coldest continent right now. So, all right, so look at the core of the cold again. Long-range final thoughts as we move along. We do expect a mild period from 2 to 4 January with periods of rain and highs rising from the middle 50s all the way to the middle 60s. The next Arctic front is going to move through the area on 5 January, And again, it's not a forceful shot, but more of an oozing in of Arctic air into southeast Virginia. The mean axis of the long wave ridge will dictate the temperature pattern, ultimately the track of any storm systems. And we are still looking at a wintry precip event sometime between, and now I'm actually going to go with the 6th of January, and more so zoning in on the 6th to the 12th of January. And rain versus snow precip type will be dependent on the southward extent of Arctic air and the orientation of the jet stream. So those are going to be some key things we have to take a look at. Will the jet stream reorientate itself to allow this coldest core of air to spill into southeast Virginia? That's what we have to keep an eye on in the long range. So that wraps up the long range discussion for tonight. Again, this is meteorologist Matthew Euler, Spot On Weather. Remember, with Spot On Weather, if we're not on target with our forecast, guess what? If we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great Friday evening. I hope everyone has a happy new year.